My name is Mac from Poison Ruin. I sing and I play guitar. Um, and you are watching Consequence.
The title track seems like a pretty good representation of the album as a whole, especially with like that spacey intro. So tell me about that song.
Originally, a lot of the music was written either on keyboards or just sung. Basically, as much of the like core songwriting as possible, I wanted to try to not do with a guitar. There are parts and little bits that get figured out and details that get added on guitar, but it was more just kind of like a check against things sounding typical. It seemed like a good way to like come up with maybe more interesting ideas to start elsewhere and then translate it to the guitar. Now it is definitely a preconceived thing where I want a certain number of them in the record. It'd be too much, to listen to that for every song. It would like interrupt the flow, but you just have a couple of those and to have them either for ones that, as far as pacing of the record, break it up nicely, or sort of highlight it as like that's like the title track. So I wanted to kind of like make it a little draw some attention to it when you're listening. Um, so it serves a couple of different purposes, and we figured those out through time.
What went into the whole like dark fantasy element of the album?
I mean, at this point, we'd already kind of set this precedent with the um, using medieval imagery and dark fantasy, kind of this umbrella of stuff as an extended metaphor or a sort of symbolism for talking about contemporary things. And, the idea with that is really just to imbue it with something that's a little more inspiring, maybe stimulating to people, or perhaps even like there's a bit of a baiting that can happen there where I think sometimes people are repelled. Not everyone and not always, but some people can be a little repelled by something that's overtly political or feels like it's didactic or telling you something. It can be condescending or off-putting or just too dry. So it's sort of a way to allow people to interact with it in different ways. Like it's not super common in that way, in especially in like like protest lyrics or like in punk music. A lot of the time it's pretty direct, but like for example in film and literature and stuff, I really like when things are when ideas are put forward that way.
Are there certain artists or media that you guys take from? I know you guys get tagged with like the Wipers comparison a lot.
Obviously, it's not like I don't have any illusions. Like every idea comes from something else, but like I try not to think of those because I feel like then you just directly replicate something. Wipers are always, I would say, an inspiration. There is obviously, some direct influence, I think, in the sound. That's fair. It seems to me that something that they prioritized was having fresh ideas or bringing ideas that are you don't normally hear in a sort of driving rock, punk, harder music context. But also, they just so successfully do that without it ever feeling indulgent or like masturbatory, like prog rock or something. There's never an influence, like a emphasis on virtuosity. It's like the ideas are like often like really stirring, interesting, more sometimes complicated musical ideas, but they've been siphoned and like filtered down through this really accessible context, which I find extremely inspiring. And really, it's more like and so many artists have done it, but it's like they do it they did it more consistently than your average band, so they are very influential.
The video for Harvest has such a crazy vibe to it. Like, where did that mood come from?
At some point, there was just a, I don't know, a lightning bolt of an idea of just wanting to shoot a flaming arrow at something, because I was like, that feels within the realm of possibility, but also something that if you really do it, it's cool because you see that it's real. It's the kind of thing that you can like cheat around, but it's also the kind of thing that you can really do, and felt like within reach. And then I also just felt like it was a good idea because then from there I was like, well, I don't know how to do that, and I want to learn how to do that. So then I just got a bow and arrow and started practicing archery. So there was kind of this whole like magical thinking wrapped up in it, where you go like, oh, this is making me want to do interesting things with my life. So it feels like a good idea to pursue. When we actually caught that thing on fire, it got kind of like scary for a sec, because basically the winds, if you look in the video, the wind is really blowing and it's in this field of extremely dry, tall grass, which, so it's very beautiful and cinematic. And I was really excited about that everyone kept being like, we should really be careful about this. And basically the scarecrow started falling apart, and the second it hit the ground, like a 10-foot circumference circle just burst into flames, and we just were like, ran over there and started fighting it. And it really felt like, I mean, it was probably a minute, but a minute of being surrounded by something engulfed in flames feels a lot longer. And we were terrified about it. Felt like I was like, oh God, am I about to burn down this park in West Philly? And fucking like, this is going to be like, forget the video. If this happens, this is going to be what happened, like, it's going to be a disaster. Yeah.